All right, welcome everyone. We have Mr. Daniel Cates, aka Jungleman, aka a ton of different stuff. He's a man of many nicknames. He is in the flesh today. Dan, how are you?
I'm pretty good. What else to say?
It's one of those situations, right? The world's a little bit on its head. It's kind of a bizarre time. How is before I see you've written a blog recently, you're getting, you've been doing some spiritual things as well we want to cover, but how has this COVID-19 affected your day to day? I mean, does it change much for you, or what's your situation in the moment?
Well, a couple things. So, firstly, it did thwart a lot of my plans. I was planning to return to the U.S. and do various things that involved meeting people. But as of recently, meeting people has been one of those things that have been unusually barred. It didn't see that coming. So, but on the other hand, another unusual thing happened was that now, because meeting people is banned, guess what? In live poker, you've got to meet people to play.
Yes.
So where do they go? Online,
They,
and that's my realm. That's where I have the power.
that's where you
And
thrive. This is sort of
yeah,
playing into your
this
into
is
your whole plan. I mean,
I
not that.
totally planned this.
Well, yeah, hopefully not. But with that being said, yeah, it's a time for online poker for apps. Give us a little bit of give us a little idea of what your day looks like right now. Are you playing more poker than before, or is it almost like no different, or do you actually notice a big boom in terms of game quality and games going on?
There's been quite a boom, I would say. I'm playing more for sure lately, although it's been changing pretty fast. It seems like online poker little booms become more and more efficient, faster and faster these days, which is not a good sign. Meaning that the VIPs, they dry up and don't have money. I've been doing a lot of stuff, to be honest, just like lots of random stuff. Like, excuse me, what just happened? Oh, oh yeah,
Some other
my
stuff.
just that's my Instagram. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of spiritual stuff, a lot of meditation, some Kriya yoga in particular, which is the yoga having to do with breathing. You don't need to move around too much for that. What else have I been doing? I've been doing. I wrote the blog. That takes quite some time. Requires a little research sometimes too. What else have I been doing? Doing like a practical philosophy class, which takes quite some time too, and that's to help a little bit with the writing. What else have I been doing? I've been doing so many random things. I started doing
What's
accounting journaling. Huh?
what sparked you to write a blog? I just posted in the chat here. What is have you done? I think you said you've done one before and it sort of died, like you were kind of getting into one in the past, and then now you're kind of you got sparked to do it. What caused this to get back into this?
Okay, so it's a couple of things. I was thinking of writing one for some time. So there's that. And then it was like part of a second, like a larger goal, which is to be a better communicator, slash to be more creative. And that kind of helps in that department. So there's those things. The one thing I'm not lacking is topics. I've got a lot of topics.
Okay.
And it's more like, how do I make this thing flow a little bit, get people to like it, and this kind of thing. And this is different kind of thinking than poker a little bit. But I go through my analysis of why I think starting a blog is a decent idea. To form it in the form of like a gamble, where I kind of just like estimate the positive and negative downsides to things, and maybe introduce people to some kind of analytical thinking to gambling. That's not like it's not totally related to, how do I say it? It's related to poker, but not directly related. I just think it's a little bit of an experiment too. To be honest, I don't think there's much downside, basically, even though. Um,
But you're an influencer, Jungle. You people want to, they listen to you, they respect you. So I agree with what you're saying. There's not really downside to it. You're allowed to share your opinion and voice kind of ideas, right? But like people definitely kind of gravitate towards you. I think it's fair. You're within the poker world in particular. People really know you, respect you. You're one of the biggest online tournament, or no, I'm sorry, cash game winners ever. So I mean, people do look after you, right? They look towards you. Like when you speak, there's people listening. So you know there is something there, Jungle. Not saying it's people want to hear what you have to say. So it's kind of cool. It's cool that you take time. How long does a blog take to write? How long would you say you spent on this particular piece?
The first one, this one I actually didn't spend that long on, maybe a few hours, but the other one took me a bit for a few reasons. I kept editing it and changing what I was going to write and whatever. And this one I realized, oh shit, this is going to be really long if I just keep writing. So I just said, I'm just going to cut it short here and close it, write something.
That's interesting up here. It says 4-minute read. What is that? Just based on how many words they estimate how long this should take you to read at the top? I've never seen something say that. Or did you put that?
I don't know, but I don't know what that means because I don't think it takes 4 minutes to read this. But yeah, it just seemed like a wall of text. Maybe I should throw in some. I'm thinking to throw in some more pictures. People love pictures. I love pictures. If I love pictures, well, I'm not like a huge reader, but I read quite a bit, and just with pictures, you can just everything's just easier with pictures.
It's true. It's
It's a
visual.
video, whatever.
Exactly. And speaking of that, Instagram, I see you showing off for staring down, if you will, with Annie Milanakis. You're traveling the world. You give people videos. Is it fair to say you prefer Instagram to other social outlets like Twitter? Is that where can people go if they want to stay in touch with the jungle? Are you mostly Instagram, or where's the best way they can stay with you?
Well, define staying with me because I barely post on Instagram. I might post more in the future, but I want to do it in sort of a smart way. I don't know. I'm like really pretentious about these kinds of things, more than it seems, because I think my Instagram is kind of there's room for improvement. Let's put it that way. But I do tweet. I don't have much social media presence because I don't care that much, frankly. And what was I going to say? Yeah, I mean they can message me on Instagram. That could, I mean, maybe I'll respond, and I might post more in the future. I might throw some stories up there, and you never. It's a possibility.
You just don't know, right? You don't know. But okay, so in the
Not even I know.
Well, that's hard to know. If you don't know, then I don't know who's going to know. What would you say though, out of like COVID-19, maybe just being for you playing online, it doesn't change so much potentially, but are you getting more done? Do you feel more focused? Do you have a better routine? Are you what would you say is been the biggest sort of plus of this such situation not so good?
That's a good question. Pluses of COVID-19. Well, for me, I would say that for some reason, online poker picked back up again, and people decided, gamblers going to gamble. There's no doubting that. Gamblers going to gamble, and they had to find an outlet, and guess what? It's online. So that's the biggest plus for me. As far as not related to poker, I've got a lot of free time. I've been trying to fill it with largely proactive things, but it's pretty hard to be proactive 100% of the time. So I've got a balance going on. Some kind of balance is good.
You've sort of figured out the time problem here and how you're doing it. Talk to us a little bit about the Galfond challenge. This is obviously, you mentioned a nickname before the stream. You said you were going to save something to ask me about it. Talk to us a little bit how what is the for the challenge?
First of all, he's now Mr. fucking Falcons. At least to me, he's Mr. Falcons. Don't let him deceive you. He's very deceptive. Very deceptive.
Elaborate. What does Falcons mean? What does this mean to you? Why is he called Mr. Falcons?
Well, first of all, Mr. Falcons, the name it was a matter of destiny. So one day in the high stakes private chat, somehow a typo resulted from some kind of butterfly effect freak accident or whatever and called him Mr. Falcons. And the name just stuck. But if you think about it, that's the perfect name for him. Because he's just soaring high above the poker world with his seemingly perfect character and niceness and doing big things and all this stuff. He's like a falcon of the poker world. And so
that's a high praise name.
But not all falcons. There's no falcon that doesn't have the dark side. And that's where I come in.
And you seem to have a affection, if you will, with owls. Could you explain a little bit about this? I think they did a Poker Central question about favorite animal. I was talking to Remco the other day. He didn't give it away, but I know we've talked before, and I know you have a draw towards owls. Is that your favorite animal? What is the deal with owls?
Well, have you ever seen an owl in real life? Let's start there.
Yeah, somewhere along the journey, I've seen them.
Okay, well, what was I gonna say? I just get so excited when I think about owls.
I was thinking about. I know it's one of those trigger words for you.
Well, it's tricky because like I feel like a rush of emotion, and it's hard to like control myself and find the perfect words. But
take your time. We're here.
Okay, so first of all, look at them. That should be enough of a reason. But secondly, owls are kind of representative as like something like wisdom. When you think of an owl, like probably owls have been associated with wise quotes and that kind of thing. And wisdom's pretty good for poker. So there's that. So if you feel an affinity towards owls, you might feel an affinity towards wisdom, which can be very useful for learning. And also, one very important aspect of the owl is that it's one of the only natural predators of falcons. Bet you didn't know that. And yeah, so guess what? I'm fucking Mr. Falcon's natural predator. Excuse me, not. I'm his. What's the word? He better fucking be careful. I mean, I just feel like I have to tell him just because like he's not ready for what I'm going to do to him. So, he just doesn't understand. I want him to be a little bit ready because I want a fucking fight. Because if he's not ready at all, I'm gonna fucking tear him apart, and he'll just never fly again.
Have you been doing some studying? Have you watched any of Benavides? Not that you need to reveal your strategy because this is intense, right? This is like two legends of the online poker, and this is exciting. Like, listen, Bill Perkins, we all love Bill. Benavides, legend, and one of the current high stakes crushers. You can't really script a better story than what happened there. But Jungleman, Galfond, like that's a pay-per-view ticket. That's something that people should set their calendars. They're gonna watch. It's gonna be exciting.
Jeff.
Yeah.
Go on. Go ahead and finish.
I'm saying I can't wait. Like all those matches are fun and I'll tune in, but like I don't want to miss a hand. I don't want to see the highlight video. I want to watch this live. That's what I'm trying to say. This is like they should charge for this. Honestly, I mean, I know you guys are gonna put it up and it's whatever, but just saying this is must see streaming.
So I'm just getting excited a little bit. Being a little impassioned.
Big reveal, Jungle. Can you tell them where some of this is going to be viewed? Can you explain what's going on? Or I mean, I'd rather give a little teaser than just drop it in. I mean, where is this? Where are you going to play some of this?
First of all, I want to say something. I hope it's going to be free so that when I take Mr. Falcons down, the whole world can see. First of all, I just want to say that. Okay. I don't want there to be any charge of money. I don't want to make any money from the streaming. This isn't about the money for me. This is about the glory and justice.
Right.
And let me ask you something, Jeff.
Yeah,
let me ask you something.
Mm-hmm.
Do you really think?
Put it out there.
It's so crazy that people even think this is what happened. That they think that it wasn't set up from the beginning. That's what's making me laugh.
What was set up?
Let me just get my shit together for a second.
Take your time, Jungle. Let's take a regroup for a second. Get it out in the universe. What you got? I don't
Okay,
even
okay.
know this.
Okay.
Take your time. I don't know where you're going. I'm curious. I have really no idea what you're gonna say.
Wait a second. Just wait a second. Do you really think that Mr. Falcons that he didn't? Do you really think that Venviti ever had a chance against Mr. Falcons? Do you really think that Mr. Falcons would just lose that much money and be able to bounce back without something happening or some previous planning of some sort?
You
really think that's the case?
Do you think that Galfond built him up? Do you think he let him go to the brink and then just dangled it? Is that what you think happened? You think Galfond gave him a false sense of security, took a break, and just came back? And is that what you're saying? If you're implying that, Jungle, I'm in shock because that would be wild. That's a wild conspiracy theory. Is that what you think?
It's just.
I want to know because you're basically saying he's not going to dangle. If you get a lead like that, you're going to smash him, right? You're not giving it back.
What I'm trying to say is it's really fucked up what he did to Venviti. It brings a tear to my eye. It really does.
Do you know?
It's really fucked up. No. I'm trying to say that it's so obvious and people just don't see it that he let Venviti lose all this money knowing that he was going to come back and smash his bankroll and crush his spirits. Well, more crush his spirits, but that's how fucked up this guy is. And people just don't understand it.
Wow. That's it. That's crazy. That's it. So what are you going to do? How are you going to counter this? It's going to be, so this is owl versus falcon. I mean, this is like, you might as well just replace the faces with these animals and you guys are going to go to battle. How long? I mean, give us when can we expect this to start?
Well, this match is not going to be like, just a regular person versus a regular person. This is going to be like something out of the fucking wild. This is going to be like,
wow.
I mean, I'm going to play like an animal. That much I can tell you. I don't like. This is what I'm trying to tell you. He's not ready for this competition.
Right.
I'm going to fucking clip his wings and fucking make him fucking crash into the ground and crush his spirit, man. It's fucked up what he did. There's got to be someone that's going to do it.
Someone's got to stand up. I mean, listen, like
I
said,
someone's got to stand up.
Bill Perkins, you got Luke Schwartz and some mixed games, but if you got to go to bat, if there's someone that's going to take down a guy soaring high and doing it, I got to bet on Jungle. What is the line? What are the markets saying? What are you guys betting on this challenge?
We're betting what's the word? We're betting humiliation as of the moment. Whoever loses has to say why the other person is a better man, which to me is is something that's worth way more than money. I don't even care about the money. I just want to hear him say it. I just want him to hear him say admit defeat.
So what I hear you saying is this bet currently there's no side action, at least displayed, but you will be playing 100, 200 PLO, and obviously the money that's real money.
Yeah.
Someone's going to win or lose after the 25,000 hands. But other than that, there's no declared additional bet at the moment, other than pride.
I believe so, yeah. But let me
massive.
We may throw something on there just for just to
out of respect,
spice it up a little. Yeah, something.
And we have discussed about this, but you will. There is the possibility of not all of it, but a good chunk of it or some of it you will stream. So you're gonna be on Twitch. Is that can we reveal a bit on where this might happen?
Yeah, we can. That's the plan.
Okay, so guys, I'm gonna just spit it out. Jungleman will be on my Twitch channel, Jeff Gross Poker. He's gonna have his own custom alerts, emojis, like even subscribers. I think, like you said, you're not trying to make money from this. We can donate. I think that would be a great idea, actually. Any subscribers or revenue generated during this, let's donate it to charity of your choice. I think that's
we can do that. This is a conquest of justice. This is a conquest of justice. It's not about the money.
Right.
It's about fucking like stopping tyranny. Let's put it that way. And
This is intense, man. I'm getting chills thinking about this match. It really does sound. It sounds intense. It's going to be fun. We do have a Jungleman emote on our Twitch channel, as you know, Jungle. You come in there now and again and take a look. So we'll have your emote, we'll have your owl overlay. There's going to be some There's going to be some stuff. We're going to have some fun stuff. It'll be a good time, and it could start. When is the earliest it could start? This week, next week, 2021?
we're thinking we'll start at the end of this week, something like this.
Wow, guys, just listen. You can stay tuned. Stay tuned to Jungleman. Stay tuned to Phil Galfond. Check their Twitter. Check their socials, and I'm sure they will give a notice. You know, when it's time to rumble in the jungle or in the arena, the bird's nest, whatever you want to call it. We're gonna have falcons and owls, and there's gonna be some stuff going on. So, well, that's exciting. Talk to me a bit about your recent spiritual journey, if you will, where you spent some time in India. You did some other stuff. Give me a little bit of like the last few months of enlightenment or just up to.
Well, I did go to India. Yeah, I've been doing a lot of meditation and did a couple retreats and that kind of thing. What else did I do? Yeah, a lot of a decent amount of yoga, a lot of Kriya yoga. How I got into it is a longer story, but I was like doing research into various religions and the Eastern philosophies and this kind of thing, reading a bit about them. What else? Yeah, I went to India. I went and did a yoga retreat for a long time in Patnam Beach, India.
Okay.
Pretty nice. Well, it's not what I'm used to. It was pretty nice. You know, it's actually in the legit jungle, or kind of. I mean, it was like the mini jungle. Let me tell you, the jungle's rough. It's rougher than me. And I mean, it's rougher than what I'm gonna. Well, I mean, I imagine the real jungle is pretty damn rough.
When you say real jungle, what? It's just the climate, the terrain. It's not. You're not staying at the Four Seasons. What you're saying?
It was not the Four Seasons. No, there was no. No sushi room service or whatever. It was okay though. It was nice, and I did a lot of yoga and learned about consciousness, that kind of thing, and I found a more Zen way of living. Let's put it that way. And presumably these things had some effects. They've benefited me in some ways. I would say they've made me happier, but the problem with saying that is there's a potential other things have changed. Like I haven't been as attached necessarily to poker because I haven't played it as much. So like if like poker was 100% my life, I would it might be like much harder to be like a little bit more balanced or whatever. Yeah, and on my spiritual journey, that was the first place I went to. I also went to where else did I go? I went to New Delhi, saw a bunch of things there, saw a bunch of temples, met some people met some poker players actually in Goa.
How was Goa? Is it what are the casinos compared to Vegas? It's like that's their Vegas, right? That's my understanding.
Yeah, Vegas is like a funny way to put it. In Goa, the casinos are not allowed to be on the land.
Right.
So what they do is they have little ferries that take you out to the casinos on the sea, which is kind of a funny sight. So it'd be these giant ferries that have like poker or whatever. So that was kind of cool. I saw those.
But
played a little bit. Huh?
When you get on a ferry and you go play on one of these boats, so I picture it like a dock that you walk out and play on the boat, but you actually take a ferry to another boat and then you play on a boat. And is there hotels on that boat out there or no?
I think you can get hotel rooms. Yeah, they're a little bit more VIP than Las Vegas because in Las Vegas you needed to be a big fucking deal to get some VIP service, but not in Goa. That's not true. In Goa, it's a little bit easier to get some kind of VIP service, I would say.
And when you were there playing poker, what kind of games did they have? I would imagine not the stakes you're accustomed to, but did you actually play some poker?
I played really small. There's some bigger games, but it's not so easy to just walk right in and play. Like not a whole lot of people are dying to
to bring?
I mean, sometimes it happens, but
Yeah.
um,
What would be the biggest game running that you knew of, and then what was the biggest game that you got to actually play in dollars?
I played something like $1, $2 for fun. Got a massage. Had to do that. Uh, I mean, the public game, I guess like 10, 20. I don't know. There's the private games are running a little bit bigger, but not super big.
And would you were you widely recognized there? Like, were people coming up to you at the Ngoa in particular? I mean, I guess not in New Delhi or
Yeah,
something.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Like,
I was
people know
I get
Jungleman's here and they want a picture and all that. Were you pretty much?
yeah,
They were happy you were there.
yeah, yeah.
Checking it out. That's cool. And tell me, what about getting sick? This is one thing I'm curious about. Did you throw up? Did you get a bug in India? Like, does it seem like it's almost like automatic with just the water, I guess, and the system not being used to it? Did you get sick at all while you were there?
I did not get. I either got sick very briefly or didn't get sick. I actively avoided the water because I heard that there was some kind of problem with it or whatever. I didn't have that. It was just more like, just or at least originally I stayed in like the outdoors, and I just wasn't used to this whole like, getting some toilet paper from the machine and there'd be like a frog in the machine or something like this, or like spiders crawling around um on the little net that I slept in, or the net around the bed that I slept in, like that kind of thing was a bit odd. And seeing all the wildlife.
Were you when you were there? Were you like, this is great, I'm glad I did this, or like the first night or two when you got to the jungle area, were you kind of like, yeah, this is interesting, but maybe I'd rather be clicking check raising on from the company my sushi, or just like, all right, I'm here, great, I'm gonna make this, or was it like, I don't know, talk me through your thought process on going, like when you were there and when you were later on, how it was for you?
I no, I was fine being there. I was happy with that.
Did was it like silent meditation? Was it a silent retreat, or were you talking to people and doing yoga and just kind of learning as like classes?
No, it wasn't silent at all, but we did have some silent days that were really hard to adhere to, but it was more about like noticing like how, it was more about like being aware of yourself.
Right.
um the yoga was every day. We were doing a lot of yoga and stuff. uh the days we did something like 4 hours of yoga a day, and then we did like some more meditation or something like that, maybe even more. There was some stuff that was kind of in between. Part of it was a learning part. I didn't really participate in the learning part because I wasn't planning on being a yoga teacher, but that'd be an interesting career choice, career move. I'm not that crazy,
Yeah, that's
but um, it's somewhat understandable in some ways, I guess, for the right person.
Did you
Well,
did you go with someone else in poker? Any friends or anyone else that was there on this journey in particular? With
yeah.
you, or solo?
Um, Philip Gruesome, if you know who that is, he went there. He's a bit more experienced. I know him. Otherwise, it was not. I knew some people from before, but not super well. Let's put it that way.
Interestingly enough, Phil, I know very well, but he was actually the one person that was with me when I met my now wife. We were.
Oh, really?
He was standing with me, and my wife walked by, and I turned around and then went back and talked to her, and Phil was there. Like, he was the one person with me when I met her. So Phil's got a special place in my heart, and yeah, man, he's a very interesting, very spiritual person, right? Very, very,
Yeah.
a lot of work and a lot of
Yeah, Phil's
enlightened.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, saying Phil's enlightened. He's a very interesting guy. He seems to do a lot of work on personal development and those type of things, and working on himself, which is
well, to be enlightened is super difficult, and there's multiple. Apparently, it's like kind of a complicated thing, a complicated topic, in a certain sense. But he's a great guy for sure. He's high up on that scale, and on some people's scale, you could call him enlightened. Technically speaking, he wouldn't qualify, but it's fucking difficult to be enlightened.
That's an interesting way of thinking about it. I mean, that makes me scared to think about like where what that really means, or where it's kind of funny if you really think about that. If you look at like how we live, right? We have gadgets and cell phones, and we're always online doing all this stuff. Like in a way, it's like if you think about maybe a Buddhist or someone that's just whatever that means, right? Just like completely isolated, or someone living there doing yoga, doing that stuff. It's kind of funny because like in a way, they probably think that we're insane, right? Like that like the chaos and having social media and doing all these things is like no way to live. And then if we look at someone that's, I guess I don't know how enlightened are doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like we look at them like, oh, that's kind of boring, or like, why would they do that, right? So it's just like total parallel or opposite ways of looking at life, right? And maybe is that fair to say, or like, would you say they think that we're crazy, like the tech doing the way that we live in the modern society civilization, or is that not really how you view it?
I think you're partly right. Well, firstly, even if you're enlightened, it doesn't mean that you are cut off from all technology, or you don't pay any attention to that. That's not really what enlightenment is.
You're not Amish. Doesn't mean
yeah, that would be more Amish. What to be enlightened means to not have any attachment to those things, which is extremely difficult. It would be like saying, like, you only do things it would be like you're content with like literally with it. You're kind of okay with you're truly equanimous, something like that. This is one facet of it, and that no matter what happens, you respond the same. Which is a little bit tricky to define, but basically you have some motivation to act in a way that's for the betterment of the world, and you're not deterred by other sorts of things. Let me think for a second. You're not deterred too much is, I guess, the simple way to put it, but what is too much? It's another thing. But I guess to keep things simple, it's more about it's the difference between wanting something and being attached to it, needing it. Let's put it that way. Enlightened people still want things, but they don't need them. They don't need any subtleties or whatever. Need any things that are subtleties, or need to have a the best in life or something like that. But one a lot of them, because of that, I guess, or just a lot of them want just end up living kind of a simple life, and just there are certain, I guess, perhaps because of that. Firstly, a lot of them end up living a simple life because they don't need to be part of society necessarily, really, or at least largely be a part of society. And secondly, because there are some similar philosophies, or some philosophies that are kind of associated, that are nearby to that, to philosophies that are adjacent to the concept of enlightenment, that suggest asceticism, which is not it's not the same thing. Buddhism doesn't even suggest asceticism. It suggests to have like kind of a balance between all things, and even like the Buddha himself returned to he returned to a pretty good way of living. He discovered that asceticism was not the way to enlightenment.
And what familiar with that word? You're saying asceticism?
Asceticism is just not is like not what's the word? I have a word on the tip of my tongue. Not engaging in any kind of desire at all. Let's put it that way.
And so in the enlightened scale, if you will, who, on a 0 to 100, how is you said enlightened's complicated. It's a complicated thing, and what that really means. Like, how would do you feel? Is that part, like, are you seeking to be enlightened? Like, what are your thoughts on enlightenment? And do you feel like you're on the path? Do you have a decent bit of it, or do you realize like what it means? And is that something to strive for or to have more of? What does that mean to you, enlightenment?
So a couple things. If it exists, I'm seeking it. Let's put it that way. I'm trying to verify that it exists because I'm not so convinced. I'm not 100% convinced. Let's put it that way. But
Very
more
interesting.
like more like 90% ish convinced, because if it does exist, it's quite a profound thing. Um, yeah, I mean, like when people say that enlightenment is like the removal of ego, like that would be a simple way of describing it. But there's like many different. It's like there are many different ways of looking at this subject that are quite profound. It's like another way of putting it is just like becoming like essentially like part of God, something like that. Like that would be like a valid thing to say. But if it does exist, then most beneficial thing for every person would be to pursue it. How do I explain this? Let me think. Because it would be the fastest way to remove all pain slash be able to be okay with all pain, if that makes sense. To be able to be more at like peace with pain, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Um, does that answer your questions well?
Yeah, I think it does. Yeah, it does. I think it's a very, like you said, it's a pretty complex and not so easy to define what that even means. But I think, I, I guess my question would be: do you feel more clear after this journey to India and your this path? Do you feel more clear on enlightenment?
Um, I think so. I think I've had a bit more acceptance with various little uh I think so. It's not that easy to judge. But I would say so, just because it seems like my reactions to various inconveniences have been better over time, and dealing with people when they're annoying, for example. I think I've been doing that in a more mature way. Or like I noticed, for example, one time I was listening to music or listening to an audiobook, and one of the headphones went out, but I found I could just like listen to the whole audiobook with just one headphone, or I could listen for hours with just one ear, and it wasn't really bothering me that much. That kind of thing. And I think I've had less outbursts in poker generally, but it hasn't been a linear progress. Let's put it that way.
Right. Okay. Very, very cool. Well, let's talk a little bit before because I know we have a ton of questions. We've already, guys, for you don't know, we've had Jungle on the podcast before. Had a really nice talk, and we covered a lot of overview of your career. So this is just kind of checking in, following up with stuff, and talking about some current situations. The Galfond challenge, of course. What about the current landscape of the poker and what you're playing? I actually caught some of your Instagram live, Patrick Antonius. I know, and you are very good friends, and you were chatting with him about some stuff, and you were mentioning that you weren't really playing on Poker Stars, that they had some weird stuff going on, or it was like a complicated thing. Where are you
Oh,
playing? Like, where could you elaborate a bit on what you are doing with poker? Obviously you don't have to go into specifics. I know there's a lot of cash apps and different things and whatnot, but like, how do you break down your poker current pie chart of playing?
it's mostly on Asian apps. I would say that.
Okay.
I was playing on GG Network a bit, but I underestimated how much rake they're taking. Uh, Maybe more on that a little bit later. But I also discovered something a little bit unsettling. So yeah, maybe more on that a little bit later.
Okay.
But
Well, in the
I
GG
mean,
on stars, you mentioned the stars rake is ridiculously high, which I didn't
no,
know.
GG rake's higher for sure.
Oh, really?
GG's rake's really high.
Like what? Give me an example, like $100 tournament, or just in their cash games, or what? Or
well, I was playing 200, 400 in like 3 hours. They raked 30K. Like what?
wait, what?
Yeah, that's what I said. I'm like, that can't be right. What? What's going on here?
How would that compare on Party Poker or Stars?
I mean,
200.
it would be less than like $1,000.
That is,
I feel like that's right. I mean, I haven't calculated, but I would think it's not more than $1,000.
yeah, but are you sure it was 30,000 at 2-4? How's that beatable? It's
Yeah,
impossible, right?
yeah, it was 30 fucking thousand.
I mean, I'm not. I obviously, I'm sure you've looked at it closely and double checked and know. So I'm not going to say you're wrong. That to me, that seems a bit. That just seems like that seems almost. That seems impossible. But I mean, I guess you know, right?
That's what I thought.
Is verified. Holy shit, that's the first I've ever heard of anything about. Like, I've never even. I mean, and how is the game running regular there, or like, did you not know that when you were playing, or you kind of you
I
didn't
didn't
look?
know that. I knew it was high, but I didn't know it was like that fucking high. I don't know. I guess I just should have been more careful.
But
Um,
hmm.
and then the games are really good though.
So that's, I mean, yeah, that's, well, I guess it's a trade-off, but that's pretty tough. And what about Stars? You were saying theirs is high as well. Like what yeah, obviously I'm biased. I love Party. I'm with Party. You know Rob very well. How
Mhm.
does Party rate on the scale, and do you play on there now, or what's your breakdown? If you say like apps is 70%, like how would you say like the different sites you break up your play?
I
Like,
think Party's pretty good. Play on Party some. I mean, I haven't played on Stars because I need to like because different apparently there are different laws in the UK now, and now I need to like change my address or something. But it's also when I withdrew on Stars, I was charged commission, and now when I'm depositing on Stars, they're also taking commission, and the rake's high, and they're difficult to deal with, and there's no good games. And what else? Oh yeah, I like paid like tax from yeah like the country that I was located in. Just like why? What the only reason is to play scoops, and that's kind of miserable too. You just stay up like all night, and then you. I mean, this is how I feel about it anyway. It
sure.
can be quite a grind. Respect for being able to put up with that a lot. I mean, I put up with it a bit too, but I feel like tournaments are especially masochistic. Is one way to put it.
It's definitely not fun when you're not running well, or when you're playing those long grind tournaments. And a lot of times it can come down to a flip or a cooler or a 4-1, that you have to hold or whatever, right? Where it's deep, and you get 12th or 10th or whatever. If you don't win or take a top 3 over a course of a couple of weeks and you're playing those buy-ins, it can be extra painful, right? Definitely teaches you about yourself. Talk about mental fortitude. You need to have it's not for the faint of heart to play tournament poker and play big series. That's for sure. But,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, for sure. And then what was I going to say? What was I going to say? Oh yeah, my worst days have always been Sundays for sure. There's all the other days are not too bad, but Sundays were always the worst days because I'd always have to stay up until 6 a.m. and I busted tournament. I was stuck the whole time. I don't know what it is.
And how have you been? You're primarily a cash game player, regarded as maybe the best cash game player of all time online, if not one of the best, certainly. Where does your tournament? Do you feel? How does your tournament game rate? Like, do you still feel very strong in tournaments? Do you do some work on tournament stuff, or do you just kind of, when you play them, like, you just figure you're a favorite in the field, and you're just not like you're not studying like PO solver stuff for tournaments, I would imagine, but maybe elaborate a bit on your tournament fortitude and what you do with that.
Um, so I would rate myself roughly according to the markup calculators or whatever. Like I think it appears that I think, and the consensus appears to be that, and this is one of these situations where I'm like kind of closely watching the consensus because I don't really know. Like, am I playing badly? Um, because I'm not out there studying like my ass off like I suspect. Like if I was a tournament player, I'd be fucking studying my ass off. If I was, um, But I'm not doing that much of that. I'm doing like a bit of that, trying to like kind of because there's quite a lot to study and I'm doing too many other things, and I don't think it makes much sense for me to do that. So I would think that basically I'm a winning tournament player for sure, but in the toughest fields, I don't really like my spot, unless there's some VIPs or whatever.
Or
I
one
think
of these big series, right? Like now, especially with the COVID-19, just sort of people are at home. All the guarantees seem to be getting smashed, and the tournaments are definitely a little better. I mean, I would imagine that's how I feel, and it seems kind of obvious that that would be the case. That in the immediate present moment, that
yeah,
there's tournaments have some extra value or extra people that aren't.
yeah. I mean, and all those I'm sure in Plus EV. Um, it's just I would not call myself or think that I'm like one of the best tournament players at all.
So I mean
Let's put it.
that schedule's tough. Is in a way it's kind of nice because you don't have to wake up at 9, 10, 11, or if you want to work out, get a routine because it's like it's got its trade-offs, right? You're in the UK, you could work out, meditate, have a day, do some reading, whatever, and then start fresh at the beginning of tournaments. But the other side of that is you're going till like if you go deep 6, 7, 8 a.m. maybe if you were to win a tournament or whatnot, which is not super ideal.
Yeah, I find tournaments really hard to schedule around. Also, that's another thing because even with cash games, like I'm doing pretty good job of scheduling a bunch of stuff, but tournaments, I mean, if you have to play tournaments for like what is it, like 12 hours? Good luck. I mean,
Yeah, it's
I
sort of
mean,
it
go
eats
ahead.
the day. It eats the day. You can't plan a call. You can't plan a meeting. You can't do You got to like, oh well, I might be done, but I got to plan to do well, and then it eats. It is. It's basically a day is just is taken. So yeah, no, for sure. I mean, cash games online are generally viewed as more difficult. You're in a nice position to be called the best in the world or one of them, so that's convenient. But what would be your overall view of the landscape of cash games currently? Like from your understanding, take the micros all the way up. Like give me a little overview of the current situation. I mean, you might not know about the micros, but like what is your understanding of cash game ecology right now?
Um, Let me think for a second. I think Poker Stars is pretty bad. I think Party Poker. I mean, you do have to take if you're going to be a specialist. Let's put it this way: you need to take them very seriously, and the cash games are becoming more.
Oh, I mean, we just lost Jungle. Maybe his phone died, his computer died. Uh, oops. Here. I'm gonna message him. Hold tight. Hmm. Maybe his computer died. Hmm. One sec, guys. Hang tight. Over here. Same. Don't see the jungle. We lost the jungle, man. He was he was vibing. He was thriving. We got 43 live on here. Enjoyed your Poker Central interview. Thank you very much. See if we can get him. We might have to. I don't know. I don't know what happened. Don't know what happened. I don't know what happened. Jungle, where are you guys? Well, Jungle's gonna be on our Twitch stream. Um, I can tell you that. We'll be streaming some of the challenge with Galfond. And Q&A with JG. Yeah, guys, ask a question. We are going live on Twitch Day. We got a lot of questions to do. So I think we'll dive into those. I mean, Jungle's always a treat, you know, to let them just sort of chat, talk about life. And trying to get him back on. Oh, here he is. There he is.
I'm back.
All right. I forget where we were. We were talking about something super important. As usual, we cover a lot of nice topics. We were talking about GG. There's the high rake. Then what else we talked about? I forget. Oh, cash game ecology. Maybe the different games and the toughness or the stakes.
Well, it's also not. I'm not the greatest indicator of this because I'm playing like the highest stakes. So for my opinion, well, I can't really tell you what's going on at middle stakes, but I presume stars games are some of the worst. But I don't know what GG Poker is raking, for example. And then a bunch of little private things have come up lately. So there's been some games related to that. Maybe they're private games for mid stakes too, something like that. Like I don't really know, like all the little private circles.
Right. Just based on what you see or know, what do you think you would recommend to someone who wants to get into poker right now? They're bored, they're at home, it's COVID, they want to like go through play. Let's just take a $55 tournament level or a equivalent in cash. I don't know, 25 cents, 50 cents, something like that. Which one do you think would be more beneficial or advantageous spot to kind of like dive in and learn? Say you have a basic poker ability, which would you recommend off of your instincts, not knowing the landscape?
Probably party poker, I would think.
Well, not even the site. I'm saying like which would you choose? Would you go for like $55 free NTTs, or do you think playing like 25 cent 50 cash game would be a better chance of doing well?
I think the MTTs. I think. I'm not sure. Partly because for the MTTs, it's easier to beat the games, I think, but it's also easier to just lose forever.
Right.
It's easier to like be a little bit plus EV or something like that.
How would you say to someone, let's say they've played the last month on these series going online, like let's say they're oops, Siri thought I said Siri. I said series. How would you tell someone to evaluate their game honestly? Let's say you're losing, but you've taken a lot of bad beats, you've lost a lot of equity, you're pretty sure you're running bad. How would you tell someone to sort of cope with that or adjust and like understand that? Because it is hard. Poker is such a results-oriented game, especially in tournaments where there's so much variance, right? You could win 2 tournaments literally in a row and be not a good player, and you could think so. How do you have someone look at that, evaluate their game? How are you able to do that? Like, what's the best way?
Well, I think the first thing is to look at like every little decision that you make, which can be quite a pain in the ass for some people, and see if just like see if they're good decisions. So just keep checking them and that kind of thing. Like look at all the options, and it's not that would be a pretty reliable way, but it wouldn't be a fun one. You can ask your friends. That can be a much easier way. And one dilemma with that is, I mean, I personally find it very annoying when, I like ask someone for their opinion and they give me like an answer that doesn't make sense to me or is like kind of results oriented, which definitely happens. There's definitely a bias towards losing players or players who are losing, excuse me, for like finding some reason that could make sense. Like making sense is not enough at all. It's actually more deceptive than it's more deceptive than being like an actual reason to look for things.
Right. Yeah, it's results oriented. It's very difficult. It's very, very difficult, to be honest.
Let me,
Yeah.
yeah, I want to say one more thing is maybe to look up at least the basics for online because I can't I have a really hard for pre-flop especially and at least some post-flop because I just have a really hard time seeing like anyone not taking that seriously and winning, frankly. Taking a really analytical approach these days.
Makes sense. And you and what about cash games? What are some of the best ways to improve cash games right now? Is there some type of which is sort of the gold standard and to to work on your game?
It's not that different, really. It's not that different. I would say you should take even the analytical parts more seriously. Or what you really should do is find a good local private game with some not the best competitors, and maybe that's a little bit easier. Is just find where the weak links are, the weak tables are.
Let me ask you too, why do you think on live is so much easier than online in general? Like if you were to go to a local 2-4 game at a casino, or 2-5, 5-10 versus playing 5-10 online. I mean, the difference in ability is it's staggering, right? Like it's just kind of like it's almost for sure that the live game is going to be significantly weaker. What do you think that is? Just because of the people that are playing professionally online or the solvers? Like, why is it so? Like live poker, I think it's fair to say live poker will not go anywhere, barring COVID-19 or some sort of world virus. That people are going to play live poker, and the live poker is going to be pretty soft. Why do you think that fundamentally is?
I think it's because um,
Same with tournaments, right? Like live tournaments are pretty soft as well in general. Like the live WPTs or WSOP or whatever, they just seem like people play worse. Same thing. What is the reason?
uh, it's because a major factor is that the people that are playing online, if you play online, things go a lot faster. So if you're a losing player, you're gonna lose faster on average, right? So the losing players get filtered out faster, essentially, or the reverse. The winning players rise to the top faster. It's much faster. That's the biggest reason I can think of. I think live there are a lot of private situations, so there's that. Yeah, like there's a lot of private games, so people they win in the private games and they decide to gamble, something like that. I would think those are some pretty big reasons. And playing live is also a bit more. It's more. It's more like fun for a lot of people. I think. I think not a whole lot of people looking to go play online and grind out some money. I think a lot of people that that aren't like trying to be a professional poker player are just looking to gamble and relax and
Right.
what else there
Almost like they go there. They instead of playing blackjack or roulette, they say, "Hey, I'll go play poker. I'm gonna play some suited connectors.
yeah,
Draws, try to hit it and have fun, and don't really care that it's not GTO or like." Cause a lot
yeah,
of
they don't want like a serious experience. They don't want to because like usually something serious isn't fun, right? So they want to they just want to like that's what they go to live poker for. That they don't like online. It's then they learn the people everyone's using machines and this kind of thing, and they're like, oh, fuck that.
yeah. They want to play
Whereas
pre-suited live, go to a flop, flop a draw and try to punish the jungle, right? That's what they want to do. They want to get in there and they want to stir it up. And yeah, it makes sense. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, I think online, with Party, what they're doing again with the HUDs, no HUDs, I think that does help people in general. I think that sort of balances things out. There's it's a check and balances constantly. Like there's people using solvers and HUDs and these things, and then there's these sites are trying to combat it, do the real name stuff. Now, what are your thoughts on real names tournaments?
why not? Why not? I like that Party is trying to combat it as much as it can. Real names, yeah, like I don't care. I think the online screen names are a little bit better. Actually, not thinking about it more, just because it's like more fun to be a character and have your nickname, whatever. I think personally.
I was saying this, like I play a lot of party 1K, 2Ks and tournaments, right? And it's like I was joking around the other day on the podcast with Remco and B Hanks about this. I was saying, when I play Strawberry Girl or New York Jimmy, it's a little less intimidating than when you see, oh, it's Adrian Mateos, David Peters, the Adamo and these guys that are like crushing and are like the best tournament players in the world. It's like a little different mental switch too. When you like see those names, if I see Daniel Cates in the lobby versus you being, Owl fan 123, like it's a little less intense too, right? Like there is that. I think that there's a little bit of for people is a little less fear or it's a little lighter when you see a screen name than one of the best players in the world. There is something to that, I think too. So if you had to vote, what you would pick, you'd rather have an alias. You think that's a little better?
Yeah.
Fair enough. All right. Well, listen, Jungle, we've got Galfond Challenge coming up. You're going to be streaming on my Twitch channel. Could be as early as Friday. You guys definitely are not going to want to miss that. You got a blog out now. You're freshly off a spiritual journey. You seem like you're doing things. You're in the matrix as usual. And do you have a prediction on the Galfond Challenge? What do you think the actual odds are? Because Galfond, is that fair to say that he spent more time? He's like PLO specialist. Your PLO game is very strong, but that's not. You play many games, so where do you you think you're going to come out on top? You'll make some adjustments. You'll do some stuff, but is it fair to say Galfond has much more experience in PLO, or do you feel like you're right there in terms of amount of experience?
Galfond may have much more experience in PLO, but what he doesn't have is raw determination and the passion for justice. That's what he doesn't have.
Justice is an interesting word. You keep saying justice. Has there been some sort of past? You say, or is it more about Benavides? You think he had an injustice and how that?
Yeah, Benavides had injustice. It was cruel. It was really
You think
it was really nasty what he did to him. It's like
really just like he was fiddling with him. What
yes.
Do you know anything about Benavides? He seems like a sort of mystical, magical creature character. Have you met him? Do you know?
No, I don't know much other than he's probably, an innocent online internet kid. Probably doesn't see the day more than once a week, and we just thought he could take on Mr. Falcons, but Mr. Falcons proved a little bit more devious than that. He showed his devious colors. Let's put it that way.
Well, Benavides, if you're out there and you would like to come on to the podcast here and defend your once a day, this guy could be an outdoor, hike guy every day, and we just don't know. But you're right. Yeah, that's sort of like your picture is like he's a sorcerer wizard inside, just doesn't go out much, which could be the case. But Benavides, we feel for you. That was a very emotional game, very emotional match, and his name's out there in the poke world. That's for sure. That match. That battle will be talked about for many years to come. That was pretty intense. Well, Jungle, I want to take questions because you have a record. You set a record and set a record again. So I know you got a busy stuff. Even though your quarantine life, you got a lot. There's games to play. There's things to do. So let's take some questions. And before we do, how many people are in this high stakes chat you referenced? You said somehow it was called Mr. Falcons. Like, give me 30, 100? What do we got in there?
It's on Bobby's room chat. So we try to set up games and that kind of thing. Maybe like 15 people or something are in it.
Okay. So that Falcons is accepted, sort of like Ike Haxton.
Yeah.
It's a darkness. That's sort of people just sort of, in that circle know that. That's your nickname for him, at least.
He's known as Falcons in Bobby's room.
Ike or Galfond, you're saying Galfond.
Ike is known as the Prince of Darkness.
It's a great nickname. That really is. That's something else. All right, we got some questions. We have time for some. Can we rapid fire some questions, Jungle, before we let you get to your quarantine day?
Sure.
All right. Welcome to the jungle. That's what Pappy and Winkle says. That's true. It is welcome to the jungle. Someone asked. Well, this came up last time. I don't want to elaborate, but is there any news? This is one of the first questions here. Status on the Durrrr challenge. Is there anything to rekindle this? I know we talked about this. Our podcast was a year ago. Dan, 1 year ago about we had a podcast, so we're revisiting this. Is there any update on that? Is there any news? Is there any inclination that this could get finished, or do you have anything to say? Update on that a year later.
Well, we're trying to settle things fairly, and Tom's still doing his thing. It seems like we'll kind of settle things fairly, but we'll see. Hopefully, come to some kind of agreement that we're both happy with, or at least not too unhappy with.
Okay, but that won't.
He's
That's
trying
likely.
to do the right thing.
That's
Huh?
like that's likely not to go back to the streets. There's not going to be a continuation.
No,
That,
no going back to the streets. He's trying to do the right thing. I'd say, his definition of the right thing isn't, 100% what I would agree with, but we're trying to, well, I think we'll reach some kind of agreement.
reconcile or make it so everyone's okay. All right, fair enough. Yeah, I don't know much about you seem like you're in touch with him and talking to him. I don't, so that's good at least that that's on the right path. Who is the best live player you've ever faced? Who do you find is someone that's just like super tough? And these are tricky because if you battle with them still and you don't want to say, you don't have to, but is there anyone you just find like their table presence is very strong, very balanced, very difficult to play against?
Maybe True Teller or Mustafa Bets. Mustafa Bets is an actual Terminator, I think.
Who is that?
He's Mustafa Bets, Matt Ashton.
Oh, okay.
The guy fucking does the same thing every single hand. Like if you look at him, he just actually does the same thing. He probably is a robot. I mean, and he doesn't really make mistakes that much, as far as I can tell. Seems to play really well. And True Teller's True Teller.
Right. Those guys, those seem like a pretty good list of people to stay away from. And you're not challenging them to heads up matches. That's what you're saying. I get it.
I have challenged them to heads up matches actually, but I have beaten True Teller, but for some reason I just run the hottest ever against True Teller. So there's that. And then with Matt Ashton, well, it hasn't gone so well. I like to imagine that I've run pretty badly, but it's hard to say.
Right. Okay. So if they offered you to be a pro of some room, would you accept it? Do you have is the endorser, the Jungleman the endorser in the future? Is that something that would interest you in the right scenario?
It would interest me. Yeah, I would. It would depend on the offer and stuff.
Okay, fair enough, guys. If you're listening, there's several sites out there, but the jungle would be a big value add. Obviously, do you play any sports?
No, but I've been working out quite a bit lately.
What kind
like
of
half of that. Maybe I'm. Huh?
What kind of workout? What are you doing like now? Do you do like push up, sit up stuff? Or are you going to a gym? I mean, not a gym, right?
No gym. Just a bunch of push-ups and planks, and I mean, I probably will do one shortly after this, actually. Like lunges and all the classics,
Right.
Classic movements.
Someone was asking, are you going to the WSOP this fall if it is held? If the WSOP turns it on and they say doors are open, things are happening, will you go?
Yeah, good chance.
What do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think the odds of when do you believe the next live tournament venue, Triton, Party, Stars, whatever, when do you think the next thing will be? What time frame? August, September, November next year? When do you feel like the next? What's your guess? What do your bones tell you? What do your owl senses say to you, Jungle? Put it out there. Put a line out just for fun.
It's hard for the next WSOP.
No. When will the next live venue be? Like what month? When will the next live poker thing where people or you go and compete in a poker live arena?
I'm going to say August.
August. Wow. You're an optimist.
Yeah. Owls are optimists, by the way.
That makes sense.
Are they? Some are. No, I'm going to take that back. Mostly no, they're not. Second thought.
They can spin their head around completely, can't they?
You know what? I actually don't know. This is embarrassing, but I don't know.
Why don't you do a little research on owls today and since you're such an owl advocate, I think you need to get your attributes in order over there.
I don't know many facts other than that the great horned owl is the natural predator of the falcon. So
That is
that's
very
about the only fact I know.
convenient for the town. Where let's see, is there any change from your live game to online? Any obvious adjustments that you do very differently in the two?
Um, uh, Not really, to be honest.
So similar game, obviously. What is the movie you watch over and over all the time and never get bored watching? Which movie is your favorite, or one you just seem to you've watched literally many times?
Uh, What's one that I've seen many times? I don't really watch movies a ton of times.
You don't have one like Rounder, Shawshank Redemption, something that's just like you've watched 10 times, or if it's on TV. I guess stuff's not really on TV, right? You're not just like flicking through surfing anymore. But there's not a movie like your favorite one that you just love, or gets you like Rocky or something that gets you like fired up and gets you going, that you like to see if you're ever down, motivates you. If you have to think that hard, maybe not. Maybe you're just a one and done guy, which is fine. Most movies you don't watch more than once. Obviously, I there's very few I could say I've seen numerous times. So nothing triggers that for you. No movie that's like your favorite.
No, I guess not.
Okay. How does it feel to be on the top of the poker world for so many years? Does that create any unnecessary stress for you?
Um, it can. And one thing I guess I should say is that it can. Yeah, I mean, there's some attachment to that. It's like, because it's not like the game situation is always the same thing. What was I going to say? It's mostly pretty good. I'd say that. There's that.
Yeah, that's
It's
good. Well, so yeah, maybe it doesn't have to bring stress. It could be. It's pride. It's good. It's nice to be at the top.
yeah. I would say it's a lot of the time it's not so stressful until you're like on a losing streak and you're wondering, oh, am I really that good, and that kind of thing. Like, especially if you haven't been working, you might think, maybe like I should learn something or that kind of thing or whatever. That can be stressful if you're losing.
Who do you
Yeah,
think?
definitely surprise.
Who do you think is the best heads up player, both at No Limit and PLO? Do you have any immediate people that come to mind other than yourself, or just whoever?
Maybe like Ben Solsky or someone.
Ben Solsky.
I don't think I'm the best at that. I don't think I'm the best at that. I would say probably Ben Solsky. Who else? Who else? Heads up. I don't even know.
Doesn't seem to be played that much anymore online. Like it's not like a thing. There's a lot of people battling at those stakes. Really, is there? Or at least
Yeah. I would say Ben Solsky is better than me, for sure.
We have a question from Ghost of M here. If he has read Siddhartha by Hermann Hesse.
No, I haven't read it yet.
All right,
but maybe I should.
That sounds like it's a strong recommendation from Marco. Thank you for that. Do you like Omaha 5 cards? Do you play 5 card Omaha at all, or what's your thoughts on that game?
5 card Omaha. I played it a bit. It seems action game.
Is it more, what about short deck versus 5 card? Both, I mean, like, short deck seems like obviously the equities run a lot closer. Therefore,
short deck's much more action, that's for sure. Because 5 card, one thing that happens is just well, kind of the same thing does happen, but in short deck, the equities between all the close hands are a bit closer, and you just kind of have to go all in because of how the game is structured a lot. Yeah, just because it's so short. No, because there's so much money in the middle. That's what it is, and because it's short.
Right. Where's your nickname from, Jungleman? People are asking in the chat here. Where did that actually come from?
What do you mean? Because I'm from the jungle.
Well,
that's
I want to hear it out of the owl's mouth. You know, I want to hear it from you. I know where I understand jungle. We have an emote on our channel. This is a live stream. People are asking right here, jungle. So you're from the jungle, and someone else. Yeah. What is there a specific?
Well, I was born in the jungle. My parents had an unfortunate accident and was raised by wild animals. Had to fight my way to survive. It brings me back to dark places. The jungle's not a nice place. It's very what's the word? It's very real. It's very real. You'll see. If you when living in the modern day era, you kind of forget about those kinds of times because it's not the same thing at all. It's very primal, right. Lots of death. And
there was a Disney movie sort of like this, very similar. Interesting.
By the way, all that was made up. I just was
okay. It sounds like Jungle Book. But yeah, the jungle is it's he does embody. He's got that raw emotion and just I like it. It just seems to work. Jungleman, just a beautiful nickname. Do you do any psychedelic drugs, or do you thoughts on psychedelics? We could just say that way.
I don't really do psychedelic drugs. I would say I'm pretty clean. I don't really do drugs for some reason.
It's not for some reason.
Do you want me to give you the real answer?
I would love. I mean, let's go deep. Take us there.
Well, it's not so deep. It's just like when I was playing. The real answer is when I was playing. When I was when I first started playing, I was had a bit more hair, and I had a bit more hair, and I was a bit crazier and a bit more unorthodox, and the players that I started playing with called me Jungleman. And I thought it was funny and just made a screen name out of it on Full Tilt Poker, and that ended up being like one of the biggest one of the names that I won the most from. So people just started calling me Jungle.
Yeah, that's beautiful. It is just such a great name. It's Jungle, and it rhymes with Dan. Jungleman Dan. Just all of it works. Let's see. Who's the most salty player you've ever played against? Is there anyone that just like seems to whine, complain, or you just like they're just like that? And maybe you don't want to say, but that's a question in the chat. Salty. That's a strong word. Salty. Is there anyone that just sort of seems like they're just always a little bit down about like what's going on?
I don't really want to say, actually.
Yeah, it seems a little personal. Fair enough. So we're just kind of rapid firing some questions. I respect that. Someone said, I recently watched you playing the Premier League poker. How did you find adjusting a live game versus online? And do you think it's still possible for small stakes players to beat the rake and become pro?
I think it's still possible, but I think it's very difficult these days. I think it's hard. I think it's possible to become pro, but not to make really. It's hard to make really, really a ton of money. Like to make over 5 million would be super hard, I think.
Would you rather
take a few years? At least.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Again?
I think it would take minimum a few years unless you got just really lucky.
And would you rather be the richest or the best?
The richest, for sure. I'm pretty sure. Because if you're the richest, you can become the best, first of all. But if you're the best, you can't necessarily become the richest. And it's just a lot more freedom to be the richest, I would think.
Right.
That being said, I don't know what insecurities come with being Like if you're the richest and you lack certain like lessons that to learn or whatever, I mean, you're probably going to lose some money. So
Yeah.
there's that. You want to have some kind of competence.
That makes a ton of sense. How do you focus? What's the optimal hours for you? 5, 10 hours? What do you think is your like sweet spot poker session? Or it just depends on the quality of the game and what's going on. But like, do you feel like 5 hours? Do you take breaks if you're playing cash? Like, what's the longest you've ever just not moved or gone to the bathroom? Like you've sat in your chair and just played. If you had to guess.
I would I mean, I played for 24 hours before, but it's online's pretty intense to do that. But I played live for 72 hours once.
Yeah, I know that story. That's pretty crazy. Then you were like had a blanket, you were like sleeping or taking naps almost, or you
Oh,
literally
that one was 36 hours. I did that a few times. This one, no blanket. I had a lot of coffee and I guess a lot of adrenaline too.
and that 36-hour session or 72 hours, because Phil Locke set the record at the time. I think it was a Guinness record, and I was there actually for part of it. I came by and saw him. It was pretty incredible. You know, he played for like 110 or 20 hours, I forget. So
I mean, that's crazy. I don't know how he fucking did that. I
didn't
mean,
have any coffee, no stimulants, and no
I don't know how the fuck he did that.
drugs, no nothing, no. He had to get tested and all that. What was your experience? 72 though. Like I think I've done 36, roughly 30 something. I've done the all nighter and played, and it's crazy. Like afterward, just feel like the body's gonna fall apart, and it's not ideal. What was it like? 72 hours. I mean, that's like borderline dangerous too, right? I mean, that's pretty intense. How did you get through that, and how did you feel after?
Um, I coffee was how I got through it. That's how. I felt kind of like a zombie, but not that sleepy exactly. Somehow, I guess because I got the second or third kick or whatever it's called. Uh, yeah, I don't know how to describe it other than like I was awake, but like something was wrong. Let's put it that way.
And did you win? Was it a winning session? And did you say to yourself, "I'll never do that again," or it was worth it? Like looking back, would you have done it again? Considering
I probably would do it again. It was worth it in theory, in theoretical money, but I did not win. But I made money eventually, and that's what matters.
right? Okay,
Sort of something like that.
yeah, that's profound. I like that. I see what you're saying. It was an investment in opportunity, investment in potential, and it did have a theoretical value. It's tough though. It's tough to probably in that moment to play that long and not win, right? It's a little bit like, wow, what's going on here? And you just kind of, how long did you sleep? Do you remember? Did you sleep for like a full day or 15 hours? Like, did you just, that must have been a good sleep.
I think I must have slept more than 12, I guess, but I don't remember how much.
And where was that? That was in Macau or where? Or
Manila.
Manila. What was when's the last time you've been in Macau and played a cash game there?
I've been in Macau.
This year, not last year.
No, it's been like it must have been sometime last year or something, or yeah, or the year before. It's been a long time.
That is okay. So, but the games are not the Macau scene. It's not quite what it was. Like what the heyday. How long were you? What's the longest time stretch you've spent in Macau? Were you there for 6 months, 3 months, a year? How long were you ever there for the longest?
Well, you can only stay for I think a month or something as an American, but maybe I've been in that area for a few months or something.
And last question here, Jungle. Can you say something about your last blog post on Medium?
What's that? Oh,
The blog post. Anything that you want to just kind of give an overview on what that it's about and
oh, yeah. Well, that's about it's about that in order to solve many problems and to like find leaks, it helps to change your perspective in many ways. And you can have multiple different problems and different levels. in fact, which I forgot to go into, and like it just ended up being really long. But basically, that to figure out how to play better, it really helps to change perspectives. And usually that's worth a lot more than focusing very much on your own perspective or like zeroing in on like one specific hand, if that makes sense. Like one example would be like if I look into all the individual little hands, at least from my own perspective, for that my own perspective of playing poker, I can like critique ones a little bit and make little adjustments here and there. But with almost all my mistakes, they kind of had a common denominator in that I should slow down and make my decisions a little bit more slowly. I think like from in that sense, you can look at what did all these mistakes have in common, if anything, rather than like fixing all the little technicalities, for example. Like that would be one example of changing perspectives, or like get someone else's point of view would be a really easy one. That kind of thing.
And let me ask you, like, what's the most tables you've ever played at a time? 6 max, full ring, whatever, like on a Sunday, either tournaments or cash games. Like back in your heyday, what was the most you've ever had active real money tables running at one time in any format?
I would say maybe like 8, something like that.
Oh, really?
Maybe 10.
You're not like a
briefly.
You never tried.
No.
Because a lot of these were heads up or shorthanded, probably too, right? So it's even trickier.
Or tournaments or something.
Do you have any tricks to multi-tabling? Like any little shortcuts or like organizational things, like the most important in this spot and moving to different stages of the tournament or late registering? Do you have any? No, you just kind of do it. Like I feel like I'm always looking to optimize this. Like I feel like I'm not great on doing this in terms of the right time to register versus having too many tables, or color coordinating them or any of that, like in the money, close to the money. Do you do anything like that or no?
No, not well. I mean, I organize them a little bit by stakes and that kind of thing. Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, this is. Can we expect more of these blog posts? Are we going to get more? Because we're gonna ride off in the sunset here, and I think we have covered a lot. We got exciting news about the Galfond challenge. Going to be on my Twitch channel very soon. You'll see Jungle on there streaming with his own overlay coming up. And I think we've covered a ton. If there's any closing statements you want to make, let me know, and let me know about the blog. Anything coming up? Do you have a scheduled blog? Is it like once a week, wherever you feel like? Where can they go find it?
I'll try to go for once a week, but we'll see how that goes. My last words will be that Mr. Falcons' reign of duplicity and soaring high in the sky is coming to an end real soon. And he's not going to be ready for what I'm going to do to him.
Wow.
His wings will be clipped.
The wings are clipped, and he is it's been declared there is going to be action in the air. How long do you think this will take for you guys to finish? Because Bill Perkins and him have one going on right now, so they're kind of playing one table or just sporadically. Are you guys going to do like 2 tables? Do you think it'll go relatively quick, or is it just going to be like you guys, like you said, you're both very busy, so you got, even though it's quarantine time, he runs run at once. You're playing other games and doing different things. So do you think this is something that could be done in a week, in a month, or a couple of weeks? What's your estimated timeline on the challenge?
Maybe a week or a couple of weeks or something. We'll see. Depends how much pain he can handle.
Whoa, Jungle, man, I love the declarations here. We're gonna get to replay this. Hopefully, I like both of you a lot. You've both been on the podcast, and I always wish you both well. But I hope it's a intense and exciting, grind, a battle. I hope you guys both get a lot of enjoyment and sweat out of it. So let's go. Let's close it out here. I'm gonna do a tweet, $55 courtesy of Party Poker. We're gonna let Jungle, the man, the myth, roll it. Tell me when, and someone's gonna get a ticket. Hopefully, spur them on a roller coaster of a upswing to end and enjoy on a journey from a ticket. It can all start from a $50. I think a lot of us started online with a relatively low bankroll. So Jungle, let you put that control the energy into someone. You tell me when to roll it, and we're going to roll a $55 ticket.
All right, roll it.
Roll it has been called, and we have a Pablo Emmanuel from the Jungle. Look at this guy. He looks ready to rock. He's got some GG support going on there, but where we've learned that they have they're taking a high take, Jungle. That's I'm gonna have to get to the bottom of that. You gotta tell me when you find out the exact thing. I just don't. What you told me blew my mind. So I'm actually gonna have to do a little research, but that just seems crazy. Like if you're saying it's like 20 to 30 times, 15 to 20 times higher potentially than some other sites.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. They do have some rake back. They have quite a big amount of rake back, though. I would say, but yeah, they rake a lot more than I thought.
Okay, well, I am about to stream later today, Jungle. It was a pleasure to catch up, man. Always a treat. Thank you so much. I wish you luck on your adventure and the challenge. And of course, it's great that you're going to be streaming on my Twitch channel. That's going to be cool. And we'll get that set up and organized. So I appreciate it very much. Always appreciate your time. Good luck with everything. And we'll be in touch. And hopefully when things get back to normal, next year or whenever, we get to link up and collaborate on some stuff. I know we got some projects where we're discussing. So hopefully keep moving forward and always a pleasure, man. Appreciate you very much.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Guys, that is Jungleman Dan. Give him a follow on Twitter, Instagram, his website of a blog he has going. And you can also check out his Henna Mob. You want to look at his tournament results, but really he is known for potentially, if not the best, one of the best cash game online players of all time. So again, just a treat. We appreciate it, and we'll see you soon.
Cheers. Okay. All right. Thanks for having me on.
Of course, bro. Anytime. We'll do another one. That was number 2. There is an original podcast with Jungleman. You guys can go back and scroll through. It's on all the podcast outlets. This one will be on Spotify, iTunes, Apple, all the outlets as well in the next few days, as well as live on YouTube. We just did, and you can see the recording video on the podcast channel. So thanks again, Jungle. We'll talk soon, bro. Cheers.
All right. Sounds good.
Bye.
See ya.